and anybody that's going to read through your interviews with the Dreadful Years, if they don't know of you already, you obviously take your work very seriously, ask fantastic questions, and you clearly do your homework. When the one chat that you had in there for M. Night Shyamalan, it was, you only had 4 minutes with him, and that must have driven you absolutely bonkers, where you're like, I've only got 4 minutes with this guy. How do I stretch it out? How do you prepare for something like that when you've got such a tight timeline when you could easily spend an hour or so with this guy?
I know, it was tough. And the thing is, M. Night, he was so personable too. He was like, looking around I had a different position at the time. He was talking about the posters on my wall and stuff. And it's like,
that's cool.
I had a list of like 4 questions. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I can keep him going a minute on each. I think I only got through 2 questions because, in addition to them being timed, you've got the publicist in another chat window going like, last question, hurry up, 30 seconds, come on, what are you doing? So it's just like, oh man. But I feel really lucky to have spoken to M. Night Shyamalan, even for just those 4 or 5 minutes, because he is a genuine filmmaker. And I actually wrote an article about this. I feel like remember Signs? Remember Joaquin Phoenix's character in Signs, who every time he went up to bat, he just swung with all his heart. So he had just as many home runs as he had strikeouts. I feel like that's M. Night Shyamalan as a filmmaker. Every time he steps up to the plate, he swings with everything he has. And not all of them are home runs, but you know what? He's going to give
like Babe Ruth.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I think he's a great guy. He was very genuine. I think he's looking at his career. It's really interesting to see him have several points throughout the decades of several high points throughout his career. I mean, so many filmmakers peak and that's it, or they get into an elite category and they stay there forever. M. Night kind of like burst onto the scene at the top. He kind of became a little bit of a joke. He took some questionable projects. But then, in the mid-2000s, he got right back up there, films like The Visit and Split and Glass. And his most recent one, Knock at the Cabin, and Old, I thought was great too. People had weird feelings about Old, but I was just, it's such a crazy allegory and metaphor for how fast, the years go by and how you go to sleep one night and you wake up decades later,
Yeah, and I mean, we've clearly had a lot of time for reflection with the pandemic that we've just been going through too. So, I haven't seen those two. I actually listened to a podcast recently with Paul Tremblay, who of course does
Thank
you.
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah, and he was really impressed by it too, and it was interesting that M. Night Shyamalan rewrote. I guess he wasn't originally brought in as a director, but then when he rewrote the script, and then when he sent it over to, I guess, to Paul Tremblay, the author of that, to read through before it self-destructed on his laptop. I remember Paul saying that he was really impressed by the changes that were made to it. It's pretty clearly, through all of his, whether he goes big and goes home and kind of falters a little bit. I mean, there's no questioning his ability to tell a good story. So I think that's
absolutely. And in terms of the changes he made with the source material, I think it worked. I think that the book is a better book and the movie is a better movie. If he had made more of a straight interpretation of the book, there would have been a lot of unanswered questions at the end and a lot of mixed emotions at the end, because the book is more ambiguous as to whether or not this is a real historic event, or if they were just manipulated by people who were also manipulated, by this sort of echo chamber society we live in right now. I don't think that would have been as satisfying a conclusion, but it made the way M. Night made his changes. It is, it gives you something that you can understand at the end and a message that you can take with you.